no matter how dark it is, like one little bit of light changes everything. And that has been my guiding force.
Well, hey, and welcome back to the Amanda Kaufman Show. And I am so excited about this episode. Thank you so much for being here because I have got Sherry Richert Belul here, and she is the founder of Simply Celebrate. She helps people find creative, intentional, and impactful ways to celebrate life and to express love for family and friends. She's a certified life coach, and she supports people in living their best lives, full of joy, success, engagement, and meaningful relationships. Now, dear listener, the selfish reason I am so excited about having Sherry here is because I knew all of that because I have seen her at so many events over the years. We always find each other in the crowd. And, it's just such a pleasure to have her here live on the show. So Sherry, welcome.
Amanda, I love it. I love being with you. And I love every time we find each other, wherever it is in life. So, yeah.
It's so good. Well, Sherry, I'm so curious actually about how you got into the world of personal growth and coaching and development. Like you're obviously extremely committed to it. And I love that about you, but I have always wondered what got you into it.
Well, and I'm glad you asked that because the name of my company is Simply Celebrate. And the last thing I ever want anyone to think is like, oh, that just comes naturally to that girl, right? Like, to me, this all grew, the personal development, my work, everything I do really grew out of a very, very dark time for me. I was suicidal as a young woman and many years ago, but I still can tap into that pretty easily, like what that was like. And I was, like many people, so fortunate to have been graced with teachers who came along exactly at the right time. And so for me, this whole journey actually started with a meditation class that I was led to. And just quickly, because it's such a part of the work I do, which is I felt like this iron wall was closing in on me when I walked in. I really like the voices in my head of not enough, not good enough, you shouldn't, you couldn't, you'll never, were just killing me, literally. You know how when you're meditating, you focus on the breath. And I actually, for the first time, heard a kind voice in my head that said, I don't want to die. I want to be here. And it was like a little pinprick of light in that iron wall. I could actually see it. And it, no matter how dark it is, right? Like one little bit of light changes everything. And that has been my guiding force, one little light at a time.
And of course you are. I mean, to the listener who may be listening on the audio only version, you've got to see that, Sherry's showing up with her red glasses and lips, just like I have today. And
just like you.
Fabulous hat that and every event that we've ever been to, you like, even when there's a uniform, you find a way to express, you find a way to take your full, space, and it's colorful and it's amazing. And you've really become a light for a lot of people that they look forward to seeing your name and seeing you out there. How did you find it into this flame, this idea of you just need that little bit of a light? Have you always been colorful, or has that been a choice? Tell me about this.
Yeah, no, I think that it all sort of came together at the moment that I decided I was going to stay, right? So a lot of the reason also that I think I was so depressed was I was repressed, right? I grew up in a small town in Ohio. I didn't really fit in with the political views, but I didn't know there was anything else really. There was just a certain way everybody wanted to be like each other, and I wanted something else, but I didn't know how to get it. And I think that the moment I decided to stay on the planet, which was a very conscious choice, I'd always wanted to wear hats. And I love the 20s, the 1920s. I can't believe now we're in the 20s. We're in a whole new century.
Round again.
They came around again. But I love the 1920s, the flapper look. And I started to allow myself to express myself, even though it was really, really hard and uncomfortable, as anyone knows who tries something new, like a new part of ourselves.
Yes, Sherry met me in my gray days. I've gotten more colorful over the years.
I was just going to say, Amanda, it's one of the things that we've never had this conversation before, but I think silently we probably have. Like, one of the things I've long admired about you and also Chris is that self-expression. And I see it, and we get confidence from each other, don't we? Like, I mean, I feel like when I see the way that you express your glasses right now and your shirt, and so I wanted to be that part of the light too. I wanted to be, like, to hat to me is like okay, today's the day. Today's a party. Today is something, and really trying to bring that spirit of could be my last, right, to every day.
That's beautiful and very powerful. The choices that we make about our expression every day and that meaning that it can have. And I think it's also so powerful what you just said about this choice to stay. I love asking people that I know are really well rooted in the personal growth realm about their background. And your story is 100% yours. And the thing I've noticed as a pattern is it so often, like, the brightest people, the happiest people, when you really dig into, like, why are you so happy? They so often will share, well, it's because I know what it's like to really not be. Right. And it is this beautiful and intentional choice that I just, whoever's listening to this, just pick something brighter to wear or that is more joyful for you. I'm actually about to go to an event. It's so funny because my friend is, like, very opposite in fashion. I didn't know we were going to talk about fashion today, but here we are.
Right?
But she's amazing. She's a real blast, but she's all black. Right. She's got, like, a very, very black aesthetic, and she's doing a book launch. So I'm going to go cheer her on, and I'm reading the email, with all the check-in details and everything that I'm going to do. And she has in, like, really bold font. She's like, it is all black. And when I say black, I mean, think monochromatic was the word. And she says, think Met Gala, you can do whatever you want, but you cannot add any color. And I was like, so yeah, challenge accepted. All right. Because there's definitely some tool involved, feathers. I will not be repressed. But it is that same thing of just like, hey, even if you are constrained in some way, you're not really. It's like, it's a matter of your creativity to find that expression somewhere.
Amanda, I love that so much. And we're talking about fashion, but we're actually talking about so much more, right? And I often tell people this. I mean, I love talking about clothes, even if people aren't really that interested in clothes, because it is a way that we discover who we are. If we choose to do it this way. I know there are plenty of other ways, and people find all kinds of ways. But to me, clothing is such an interesting one because I'll just tell you a quick story. One time my spiritual teacher had us label all the clothing in our closets. The depressed person wear? What does the enthusiastic person wear? What does the wannabe whatever person wear?
What does the podcast interviewer wear?
Yeah,
I see this.
exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And it's fascinating because when we would go to pull that, for instance, like the sad girl clothes, maybe for me it would be like baggy pants and some sort of, sweatshirt thing. That's just me. The consciousness of what happens if I put the spirited person's clothing on? Who do I become this day? And it's a beautiful active metaphor, right? For, like, part of your question about how do I practice joy. When I first started working at all those events where we got to know each other, I would put notes on the door, the hotel room door, that said, be light, be love. Because I needed a reminder a lot of times, because that wasn't always what I was showing up with, initially.
That's
and
powerful.
I think clothing does that, right? It can do the same thing. If I'm coming to see you, which I knew it would be such a wonderful thing to see you, I want to show up because you do.
Yeah, yeah, I so appreciate that. And when I very first became an entrepreneur, that was a violent act of asserting my freedom. The first thing I did really was get glitter on my nails. I don't actually have glitter on my nails right now, but for years I didn't go without glitter on my nails, and it was just like that little act of defiance because I'd come out of a corporate setting where glitter would be like, "What are you doing? Like, are you 8 years old? This is unprofessional." And just like all those labels that I was just done with. And yeah, so I love this. I love this. Now, I did want to make sure we also talked about quality of life.
Yeah.
And I know that might seem like a bit of a segue, but here's what's coming into my brain is that our choices about what we wear, our choices about putting post-its on the door and to remind ourselves of those very important things. It just really sounds like that intentionality around how you live your life is perhaps one of the most important things. Like, what would you
Mm.
say when it comes to your personal growth journey and also just coaching so many other people? If maybe fashion's not the thing, what would you say is the thing that they should be paying attention to if they want to have a good quality of life and happier life?
What a great question. And you know what, Amanda? One of your recent guests, I forget, was it Lisa Smith? Who was talking?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what was it? Okay. One of the things she said is my answer to your question, which is she used the phrase "love better." I don't know if you recall that. There was a lot of great stuff in that conversation, but
It was a
she
good
used it.
episode.
And love better. I don't usually use that actually in those exact words, but if I had to describe what I think makes our lives, shall I say, even worth living, it's love better. And I mean love ourselves better, love the people in our lives better, love our gardens, love our surroundings, love the books that we like. But that's it. That is an action, right? It's not a passive thing to me, and that's where the intentionality is. It's like I think that I'm constantly focused on, well, like this morning, it's like I had dinner with a friend last night and I wanted to make sure I sent the follow-up photograph of us and the things I loved about that time together, specific things to really anchor in for us, like this is important. We didn't just have dinner. We're building our friendship, brick by brick. That's right. And it's like that with ourselves. It's like that, like with our environment. And I loved when I heard that on your podcast because it just lit me up.
Yeah, I love that. There's this taking care, right? And just being a character, whether you're wearing the costume or not, but just like having that character of taking care and demonstrating that through our behaviors. And I'm going to send the selfie and I'm going to have that next connection with that friend. Like, ideally I already know when I'm looking forward to seeing them
Yes.
again, and I know that I used to really feel like it was so mysterious, how some people could be so happy and have such high quality of life. And when was it going to happen for me? And the answer was exactly what you just said is I had to learn personally how to love better or how to just take more care and not just I used to think caring was like, I just care, like in my brain, in my
Right,
in
right,
my
right.
view, I care, right? Or the fact I'm having an emotional experience means I care. And it's like, yes, and how are you taking that energy or that emotional differential and translating that into an action of impact,
So
right?
beautifully said, right? Right.
So good.
And you also pointed out something that I hope people caught, which was it's this and that and that and that, right? So it's like it's not just a one time. I mean, to me, it starts with this is a Kurt Vonnegut Jr. quote that I always mangle, but he says something to the effect of like, by all means, if you're having a good time, and enjoying yourself and feeling happy, please say it out loud. Now, that's not the exact quote, but it goes along something like that. And so to me, it starts with, I'm with you, and I'm going to do it right now because this is the truth. I'm having such a great time being with you. This is amazing. Like I feel your energy. And I also can express to you, like, I felt your care in this whole process. It started before we got here together. And I hope that after we get off this podcast together, we will have other ways that we're both connecting to tell each other, like, wow, that was amazing. I'm so grateful for you. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like just taking that care. Oh my goodness. It does make you happier. I really believe that because you see the impact that it has on other people. Now, thinking about taking care of things, I know you've got a new book coming around the corner and and it's an interesting one. Do you want to just take a couple seconds and just share with us, what are you working on and yeah, well, what is it? What are you working on?
Well, and I would love to, and it's actually right on topic of what we're talking about. So it's a book called The Lovelist of a Lifetime, which is a double entendre because it's one of the cornerstones of my work is called a love list, and that's expressing things, say it now, say it to people, tell them why you love them. That's a love list. Be specific about why you love people. So that's a part of the book, but it's an end of life planner. And so it's also the most loving way we can care for people in our lives, no matter what age we are. Because a lot of people might tune out. They hear end of life planner and they think, oh, I'm 40, I'm 50, I'm 60. That's not for me. It's actually, believe it or not, something that we should all be doing at any time of our life. Because once we start to do the things, and the book is both logistical, it's the healthcare directive, it's the wills, it's all the legal stuff, and leaving love lists for people, doing the storytelling so that people have those, stories of your life. It's cleaning up relationships. It's getting clear on our spirituality. It's kind of the whole gamut. To me, the reason this fits exactly, this is like the best way we can care for ourselves, because you've heard Brendan talk about, mortality motivation, right? As soon as we remember this is finite and it goes by really fast, that's the moment we start to think, am I doing what matters? Am I saying what matters? Am I living what matters?
Do what matters. Yeah, I've got it tattooed on my arm. Seriously, I agree.
With that, right? And so, this is, so it's partly for us because it's like it really helps us to live what matters. And, almost everybody has a horror story of someone that they love who died. It could be unexpectedly, and it could be, even after an illness, who did not have things in order. And it puts this layer of frustration and sometimes anger and hardship on top of grief. I really believe people should be able to just grieve.
Yes, I mean, what a beautiful gift. So we've actually had that very thing happen this year in our family. Lost someone who had been sick, and they just they didn't have that. They didn't have a plan. They didn't have the will. They didn't have all of these things. And I think what was so sad about it is I don't, in my opinion, the love was very much there. Like the love was there, but that taking care piece
Yes.
was missing. And there was always a reason for it to be missing. Like it's not like it wasn't a conversation that had never ever come up before.
Right.
But, you're right. It is an uncomfortable subject to consider our mortality if you don't have the tools, I think, to consider that. That's one of the things that I've really benefited from in my own personal development and growth journey as well is, I've had dark times in my 20s as well. Very, very, very dark. And through doing more of the work and being more open to different ways of thinking about things, it really was mortality motivation that led me to change my job, grow my family, double down on marriage, like all the fruit of it is just like realizing it is finite and you don't know how long you have. You're here. That's what you get. And
Yes.
the thing is like you will be leaving people behind eventually sometime, and you don't get to know the manner or the timing, but you can use that activation, that presence now. I think this book is really, really, really important. And I love how you're packaging it as well, because I think that's another reason that people don't want to do this planning is it's like, I don't want to hire the lawyer and it looks like paperwork and it's all, I don't understand the terminology and it's uncomfortable, but I mean, you're right. It is so, so, so important and such a beautiful way to have a final expression of that love. So good. Sherry, oh, go ahead.
Well, I just had one quick thing. Also, is just that I mean, you know me, and we had this conversation. It's like what I really try to do with this book is to be a friendly, loving companion, and dare I say, make the process even joyful. So I think because you're right, it's not the topic people are running to talk about, but it's also not. It's like a monster under the bed. Once you look under there, it's not so bad.
It's not so bad. And you're exactly the person to write this book. I'm so excited. When does it come out?
November, right around Day of the Dead, which I love. Yeah.
How special. Okay, awesome. Well, okay. So how can people follow you so then they hear, when the book details are dropping and all of that?
I love that. Thank you. So my company is Simply Celebrate. On most social media, it's at Simply Celebrate. And that's probably the easiest way. And I love to DM people and be in contact that way. So
yeah. Perfect. Amazing. Sherry, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing so much and all the things. Just thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for being you.
I love your energy. You're such a gift, Amanda. Your podcast, your beingness is a gift. So I'm so grateful. What fun this was. I
appreciate you. Yes, I appreciate you so much. And dear listener, we're going to have all the links in the description below or with the show notes, however you happen to be experiencing the show. And look, if this hit a vibe for you, if you made it all the way to the end, I know you've got 3 friends who would love to hear this discussion. So just grab the link to the show, text it to them, DM it over, and share the joy with them. And hey, you don't want to miss a future episode, right? Because we've got more coming very, very soon. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. And look, if you've been really enjoying the show, one of the things you can do that is just so amazing is taking a minute for an honest review. Because when you leave that review, it lets people know that people are literally listening, and it helps them make the decision to come and join us. So we're always super grateful for a review wherever you happen to be listening. And until next time, make sure you do what matters, and we'll see you in another episode.